I'm Francis Rose of FedScoop, and I'm talking to Sonny Bhagowalia, the Assistant Commissioner for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer at Customs and Border Protection. Sonny, welcome. It's good to talk to you. You've got an explosion of data coming from intelligent applications and just the infrastructure that you have at CBP. What is your vision for leveraging that data so that CBP becomes even more of a data-driven agency than it already is today?
Yeah, I think the explosion of data is being produced by the modern enterprise is both a challenge and an opportunity for us. So I choose to look at things as an opportunity to, continue the excellence, but really make sure that data is available for any mission on any device, on any authorized device, securely and reliably, anytime, anywhere, right? So I think that's really key. So I think from that standpoint, we're working to take advantage of this area by focusing on capturing and securing the data, making sense of it, supporting easily how to easily access it and the use of it. Also, data plus context equals information, with experience equals knowledge, right? So we're all on this journey of the continuum, getting to a knowledge sort of a system where we can use that for mission. So on the capture front, we're working to create standards and infrastructure for enterprise data, sort of lakes to store data of all types. And then we have standard security templates and enclaves that allow us to go from low, medium, high. And of course to other worlds that more secure than that. We also want to ensure that all of the data and all of the sensitivities are appropriately protected. So security officer, CISO reports to me, but also we work with the privacy officer who's outside my office, but a colleague. So we kind of make that work. So these data lakes will make us, and maybe a data ocean, and one day will make sure all the secure storage of all types of data feeds are straightforward, so programs can again put that as a service and use their data to kind of make their mission more successful. But also to make sense of the growing volume of data, CBP is investing in artificial intelligence, as I mentioned, distributed processing, cloud, so on and so forth. We have Spark clusters that enable our teams to massively parallelize the processing of new data. We have new AI capabilities allowing for machine learning models to be trained. We have natural language processing going on new data flows. We also can reveal some hidden insights where, what we're finding, of course, and as you know, as a law enforcement agency, that's important. Our AI ops capabilities support rapid setup of machine learning training and providing continuous review of the quality of the models, using application programming interfaces to make models available to support the mission. And then also to support easily accessing the data, we're setting up a data catalog to allow visibility across the enterprise. So by sort of leading into providing the data through APIs and publishing those APIs through open standards, we enable data to be discovered, shared easily, and then through a sort of an API management platform, we provide a standard way for personnel across CBP to request access to the data within their enclaves. CBP also understands that obviously being a data-driven organization requires training of the workforce in advanced analytical skills, how to use that data. So we're investing in this area and constantly looking to identify new skills. Just a couple of things I'll mention also is that we're using data in every aspect of our mission, and it's growing rapidly and changing in scope, volume, and velocity. So data silos obviously are of concern. There's a tendency in the government sometimes to compile the data and comport with certain laws and then house the data in these silos. And how do we make that available while comporting with the laws and sort of an information share first sort of a paradigm. Sorry, that was the second word I've used today, paradigm and symbiosis. Anyway, so CBP has established sort of a next generation data management team to allow data modernization goals and requirements to be met, and consolidating that, and again, with a trusted partner initiative, how we work with the user so that they can access, share, secure, and govern the data. So our vision is truly to operate as a data-driven CBP. As you know, we have petabytes of information, and we conduct 40 billion data exchanges daily, 300,000 endpoints, all kinds of things going on there, processing hundreds of millions of import cargo entries every day. We used to process 1.2 million passengers a day. In the age of COVID, a little bit less, but still it's a big number. And we have about 200 plus systems doing this. So I think finally, I'll just say, this holistic view, is requiring first us focusing on small little parts and making sure that the use cases, data, and techniques and is available to all, and so that we can harmonize that. And our goal is to augment the current staffing through automation of routine tasks so that the workforce can focus on more complex problems And I think you've talked about this in several of your shows. So, for example, the complex problems are things like blocking illicit trafficking, stopping and capturing watch-listed individuals, facilitating mass, when there's migration through a humanitarian crisis. All of that stuff is all data. So, sorry for the long answer, but this is an exciting topic that you're bringing up, and very, very, very timely and topical.
No, data is on the tip of everybody's tongue in the government right now, Sonny. And you mentioned the petabytes of data that you have, and that's not unique to CBP. You also talked about the concept of any data and to any device. What does security look like? What's your vision for the security at the edge, where these users are using this stuff right at the edge of your computing network?
Yeah, so I think the generation of data at the tactical edge creates challenges, of course. As you know, while leveraging cloud resources is compelling due to the scalability and efficiencies of cloud operation, often the volume of data generated at the edge makes moving to the cloud difficult and somewhat expensive at times. So we're putting analytics to the edge so that we can reduce the amount of data that needs to be moved to the cloud. Also, allows us to provide more immediacy to the results. Also, we're by moving capability to the edge, we also run into the same challenges we've tried to get away from data center consolidation. So there's a bit of an irony there. But we are managing sensitive data at the edge with the same level of security rigor and attention we have in the cloud. So we have first data. The data security is the most important than the network security. So we do both, of course. So we use appropriate level of security based on the sensitivity of the data, and data classification is what I'm talking about there. So different levels have different. So then, like the DoD, they have the IAL levels. We have somewhat commensurate levels in the civilian sector. We use standard templates for security based on how we do this, and so we are developing those even more. We've set up an edge capability where based on principles of zero trust network. So you heard of zero trust, so that's an ongoing journey. No one has this yet, but we're putting a lot of things into place that are in totality will achieve the zero trust. And so the idea is no one trusted to come with access, so we then allow us to and so we have some technology. I won't go into the names because those vendors are very important to us in terms of how we're working on some leading edge stuff, but really working with DHS CIO as well. And I'd have to give him a shout out. Eric has been a great job, Eric Heisen. And so working in collaboration with them. And finally, the access of this data must be audited and provided to security, just as is the security of data in the cloud. Our financial audit, we had just one finding last year, so we have achieved our best financial audits, for example, on financial data. So this just shows you how much we're doing. For analytics, we're looking to create modular analytics capability that can seamlessly deploy at the cloud and the edge, and ensure that the operators, between machines and distributed location in the cloud can sort of move freely. And we're building this mature, NDM capability, which is sort of allowing us to have next-gen data management, which is sort of using a multi-model sort of engine, which is allowing us to do a centralized that provides a virtual sort of centralized repository that can scale and meet the fine-grained security requirements. So anyway, long story short, unlike most IT operations, we have our significant challenges. And we have some elements where we can do active 24/7 monitoring, of course, data at rest encryption, and really at the end of the day, it's really working with the stakeholders to make sure that data is really in a safe, secure, and consistent manner, and conversations going on, because stuff happens. As they say, stuff happens every day, and we have to just it's the identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, and the NIST framework. So we got to constantly work on that, and we're doing that. I will say also on IoT devices, there's this IT versus OT. OT is operational technology, IT is information technology. And I think some of the new technologies like 5G and other things coming in, along with, like you mentioned, edge computing and stuff at the edge, we are really, really looking at a combination of various techniques to kind of, again, bring policy, process, technology, governance, and people into this equation.
Just about everybody that I talk to has the expectation that digital workloads will grow, that they will become more distributed even than they have during COVID. How is that reshaping the way that you're thinking about spending around cloud, and how you're thinking about allocating for on-prem versus hybrid versus public cloud environments, Sonny?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there's in engineering school, we learned there's a Q point of the world where there's a question point where after that you cross, there's sort of you go from one world to the other. And so we've entered a pivotal time in technology transformation where our frontline officers and agents, they rely on digital technology every day to safeguard our nation's border, enforce legitimate trade and travel, and even some of the things that we're supporting across the world. So building a secure, resilient, and scalable solutions to enhance these service delivery is a critical requirement to CBP to modernize and transform. So as we're processing those 40 billion daily data exchanges with other agencies, passengers, carriers, cargo, and trade users, we're looking at about a 1.5 billion in shipment exports and a total so far of at least 2.4 billion in entry tariffs. This is not counting the trillions of dollars we do in commerce that we track that's coming into the United States. So when you're looking at these kind of scales of system, we have been working closely with DHS to further refine this strategy and met with the other departments with similar size, scope, complexity of IT operations to look at lessons learned, where how can we look at this combination of the perfect balance between on-prem, hybrid, and public cloud. We think it's a combination of three. As I mentioned before, I have extended the data center, contract a little bit longer because the high value assets will be the last to migrate over. Obviously, that increases the cost a little bit, but I'm trying to bring that to the left if possible. And so I think getting the funding and getting stakeholders to also buy into this CIO strategy has been a very key effort of mine. And I think we're making progress. We were supposed to be at 32%. We're at 45%. FY22 will be another little bit lean year for us. But we don't give up. It's an opportunity. It's a challenge and an opportunity. So I look at it as use innovation, and I think we're going to come up with some new solutions as to how people can see that this is the right way to go.
CBP's made some terrific progress on digital transformation before, during, and after the pandemic as a result of the challenges that the pandemic has thrown at the people who want to do business with the United States and the way that your agency responds to them. What do you think about, what are you working on for supporting the people inside your organization who can work remotely? And what are you thinking about from the digital transformation perspective for the way that you provide services to the citizens and people outside the United States that want to come here?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about people and how do we, we've all been through this pandemic together, and just sort of finally, as you were going through that, now we got the variant stuff that we got to deal with. The health and welfare of our employees, both federal contractors, top priority. We are one team, one nation, one CBP, et cetera. I think regardless of the vaccination status, we fully support and encourage our employees to obviously place their health and family first when considering where to perform their daily work activities. We comply with, of course, the White House reintegration and DHS and CBP reintegration policies. But we have fully transitioned to a platform that enables workplace collaboration seamlessly. So we have been working for the last year and a half with over 66,000 people and more. I'd say much larger. No problem. And so all the appropriate networking, computing, security, collaborative tools, all that has been available. And it's been surprisingly productive. A lot of people, some people sort of a little bit of cabin fever. They want to come into work, and I'm at work today, but I do have my mask in my office. I'm in a closed office. That's why I took the mask off. Usually I put the mask on. And we have, but people also are being productive from where they are, and getting a chance to sort of check up on commute a little bit and do some other work. So we are all working through the policies and making sure that there's a very incremental but a very safe way to bring people back on. We've also allowed remote workers can automate tasks and workflows, work on documents at the same time, become more mobile, and then access things more mobile anywhere. And it's quite amazing. With the surge of migrant activities on the southern border, also we've been able to conduct remote processing and interviews remotely, communicate specific threat information to our frontline workers at ports of entry. We have 328 ports of entry. We've invited employees and staff to virtual workshops to build that, build on sort of a sustainment plan, so to speak. As far as improving citizen services, we've already migrated several applications as a result of you've heard about CBP One, you've heard about some of the other apps. As a result of both modernizing and migrating to the cloud, the systems have experienced a higher overall availability and more consistent performance for end users. We also have seen a tremendous growth in electronic commerce. It's amazing. So I think with that, we are absolutely. But what's really amazing is I think our planning, and I'll just humbly say that I think all of the whole team really did a great job in sort of really rising to the occasion, and I'm really, really, really proud of how the workforce have done, in my opinion, a tremendous job. And I've done this for 36 plus years in many organizations, top organizations. This one is been unparalleled. But in response to OMB's guidance for the 21st Century Integrated Digital Experience Act, for example, DHS asked us to identify at least three proposals to improve public-facing customer digital experience. And our suggested proposal, including modernizing and digitization of paperwork, so that we can, include sort of processing of formal entry and clearance of commercial vessels, for example. And we've also provided additional CBP services to travelers that are available remotely through the mobile devices via the CBP One app, and it's available, by the way, on Apple and Google. So I think all of these things that we've done have really sort of allowed us to really be ahead of the equation, and we are definitely a digital agency rising up to the challenge. Associated with this, there is sort of a concomitant use of check of cyber and privacy concerns. So we are very careful in watching what's theirs, and unfortunately, sometimes our adversaries to the United States definitely have some machinations and things of that nature. We have also avoided any of that, touch wood here. So we remain vigilant, and again, to your question, I think it's all about service to citizens and enabling our workforce. So I think that's what we're doing, and it's been a long journey, but I think we're ready to get back to the new normal. so I think we're all ready to get out a little bit and hopefully get past this pandemic. So thank you very much.
Sonny Bhagowalia, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Francis. Always a pleasure. Thanks.